I was just looking for it in my email and I did not see it.
I don't
We
recall
are-
seeing April minutes.
We're now streaming, so.
You are live now.
Okay. We'll call this meeting of the Akron Civil Rights Commission to order. This meeting was duly noticed. The first item on our agenda is approval of minutes, but I think that we do not have minutes prepared to approve at this point. So we will we'll have to put it in the minutes to be sure to to approve two sets of minutes the next time. We have two pieces of old business. One of them is Commissioner Thomas was in the process of doing a conciliation on a case. And I don't know, John, if there's any report, or Phil, if she has communicated with either of you. I have not heard any update on that.
No, I have not heard from her.
Okay.
I did get the letters out
Mhm.
after the last meeting to advise the parties what the commission found. I was a bit delayed in getting those prepared. And then I had further delay in letting the commission know that those letters went out. So I'm not sure that either Esther or Nancy have had a whole lot of time to even get started.
Well, we can have an in-progress report, which would be fine. So then the other item was the, we call them both conciliation that Commissioner Holland was assigned. Is there a report on that case?
I think I'd like to just give you the sort of the preliminary need at this point. John's right, this has really just happened, but first order of business for me was to ask for any file materials that exist, specifically if there was a written position statement supplied by respondents' counsel or any other kinds of written communications between the investigator, Latanda Mobley, and the respondent or its representatives. So I was hoping to connect with Latanda on that at this meeting, and I do know that John has communicated with her about it. My intention is to communicate with respondents' counsel and set up a time. I think under the circumstances, this will need to be a video conference session. I'm not inclined to reach out until I do have whatever existing materials there are. And I guess the main reason I'm bringing this up is that as we investigate cases, I think that it's helpful to keep in mind that a conciliation or a hearing down the road really makes good record keeping important, that this is a helpful way to prepare for the next phase of activity. And that's all I have.
All right.
If I could just bring up one point. Nancy and I spoke yesterday about the process. And Nancy, at that time, I specifically told you, because you asked me what's the time frame on this. And at the time, I did not recall there was a hard date. But Rule 17 D provides that there's a 90-day period for conciliation after the finding of probable cause is made. So there is a 90-day period, but then Rule 17E allows you to ask for additional time if it's needed.
Okay, so that 90-day period began to run from the April meeting or
Correct.
From the written notice that went out last
It says 90 days from the finding.
Okay. Okay, thank you, John.
Sure.
Can I
Yes.
just ask, for the sake of the minutes, because unless we read the actual correspondence that John sent out, for the sake of the minutes, can we identify which case you're conciliating, Nancy, which one we're discussing right now?
Yes, this is cases 00003 and 00004.
Thanks.
From 2020.
Correct.
We have those numbers for other years as well. Yeah. All right. So that's our update on the continuing cases. I did not see any correspondence about any new complaints. Is that right? John?
Correct. No new complaints came in this month.
No new complaints. You'll remember that we had a discussion about proposed ordinance last time. At the time, we talked specifically about the source of income discrimination provision. That's the one that sort of directly involves our statute. I have heard things about what the status of that is, but I don't know if anybody might have better information. My understanding is that they have amended that proposed ordinance, and so that the vote on that is going to be next week.
Ellen?
That's correct.
Yes.
Yeah, a substitute went in, so it's a little bit different than what was introduced previously. And it's my understanding they took time on it last night and intend to vote next week, although they could, take time again. We just anticipate that a vote may be next week.
So I guess that the reason to bring it up now is, so in the April meeting, we voted to endorse the resolution, and that vote was successful, but not unanimous. And we had some discussion about how we wanted to handle any sort of communication of that decision, but did not really reach a conclusion. I think it's plain to say that the Civil Rights Commission did endorse it. I typically do that by majority vote. There was some sentiment, which I understand and to some extent agree with on the commission, that, to really wave an endorsement around, you kind of would like it to be unanimous, and ours was not. I think that I guess it's a question for sort of what you want to do with this. As it turns out, we have time, right? A little bit, right? If we wanted to, because when I spoke to council on this bill, it was before we had voted, right? So if I guess I just raise it for your awareness, and if there's any, there's turns out to be a window to communicate with council about our position if we wanted to do that. If anybody has any sort of thoughts or proposals on that front, this would be the time to discuss them.
I can only express again that I believe it is imperative that the commission stand behind legislation like this that provides the kinds of protections that our ordinance seeks for the residents of our area. And I understand, to my mind, our prior conversation had one outlying voice. And I'm sorely saddened that in the midst of COVID and everything, we couldn't have a conversation to really iron that out. But I would really like, personally, speaking from my own perspective, would really like for the commission to stand preferably wholeheartedly, but if not, then technically I'll take a vote of the majority, especially if it is a majority that's an overwhelming majority, to support a bill like this or a piece of legislation like this, because I think it is extremely important and it speaks to the values of everything that we stand for.
I agree with Nanette. I would also say that I think perhaps this is an instance where we simply state that we have endorsed the proposed amendment, that this is perhaps not an occasion where we create an editorial statement, in part because we were not unanimous in reaching a supportive position, but also because, as I understand it, we would be in the future, the enforcement arm of this. So I think, well, I've had an opportunity, and I'm not sure that everybody knows I've been working on this. I have been working on our public information presentation. And so I've had that opportunity to sort of step back and put my member of the public goggles on, if you will, for the purpose of taking in such information from both the side of someone who might be aggrieved, either presently or in the future, but also from the position of someone who might be a landlord or an employer or someone who owns and manages a place of public accommodations. And so I think that maybe in the interest of maintaining our position and our manifest neutrality, that it would be inappropriate to say anything more than that we support this change to the law.
Would that come in the form of a letter to council? John, what do you recommend on that?
Well, I guess there's a couple options. It could be a letter, like written to council. The other option would be to appear at a committee meeting. You could, you or another member, Mr. Chair, could appear at the committee meeting and voice the commission's support. But then if your goal is to just endorse it and not say much more, that might be a little bit awkward to say, well, I don't want to say any more about it, because they're going to expect you to say more. So it's sort of like you'd have a lot more control if it was a letter. And that's something that could be delivered to council chambers, in the next few days, and they would certainly have it by the time of the next meeting on Monday.
I don't think this is a voting matter necessarily. So I'm thinking that we draft a pretty simple letter, just sort of straightforward and to the point, and send it to council. I think, John, you're right that if what we're concerned about is not telegraphing to, a kind of a partisan stance on an issue that we're then going to be in the position of judging, that, then we want that statement to be pretty simple. So I think any other discussion or input on that?
Would you like me to take a shot at that letter?
That'd be great if you would do that.
And then I can share that with the entire commission.
Okay.
I'd like to have it to you by tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, welcome.
Hi, sorry for my tardiness.
That's right. So if this, I guess I don't want to make any sort of guesses or projections. If this passes, we are then going to be in the position, right, of hearing these complaints. And I know that some of the discussion about it has been, how is it going to be enforced? We have sometimes discussed sort of the extent to which we want to be publicizing our availability for complaints more. I think this is another sort of pivot moment where we might revisit that. John, on the agenda, it says we're discussing the pay to stay ordinance.
Yeah, I put that on at your direction last month because we had already talked about source of income. So you asked me to put pay to stay on for this month. But I think that you're able to talk about source of income. I mean, it falls with under, or probably under other agenda items that you have, such as discuss projects to develop community involvement or relationship building or community education or support. So I don't think there's anything improper about discussing that source of income.
You know, I wasn't thinking that. I was wondering why I had asked you to do the pay to stay. So in my view, the source of income is right up our alley because it amends our operating statute. The pay to stay ordinance, to my understanding, does not do that, right? That's sort of a separate issue.
Right,
And
right.
so-
It definitely wouldn't fall within your jurisdiction because it's not within chapter 38. It would be within the housing code, which is a different chapter. It doesn't deal with discrimination. What that ordinance does is basically give a tenant some legal defenses to an eviction case.
I was going to say it probably takes away an affirmative defense on the part of a respondent in a fair housing case.
Yeah, it is considered an affirmative defense if they make the payment. Isn't that right, John? If they present the payment to the
Yes.
landlord.
Yes.
Oh, so it's not a defense on the fair housing case, it's a defense on the eviction,
Correct.
right? Okay.
Yeah, but just so you know, I mean, just for informational purposes, council took time on that yesterday evening as well, so that may come up for a vote next Monday.
So, I was not inclined to necessarily propose that we discuss this and make a decision about endorsing it, but I'm open to discussion about it. As we've said, there's not a direct relationship to our mission. There's no problem coming up with an indirect, link if you wanted to. I mean, I just think that the systemic racism, right, expresses itself through evictions. And the numerical disparity in evictions on race lines is, I don't think, would be hard to establish. So on the general topic of addressing discrimination, I think that this does that. But I also don't necessarily want to open the door to us taking a position on everything that could be related to systemic discrimination, because that's like everything. So it's on the agenda. Is there, I don't know how you, the floor is open to sort of discussion about how you feel about whether we should take an action on this ordinance.
Do you like a motion?
In order to have a discussion, I guess we're supposed to, aren't we?
I would move that the commission indicate its support of the so-called pay to stay amendment to the city ordinances and express that position to city council ahead of the vote on that matter.
Second the motion, Sheldon.
All right, we have, is there discussion? Does everybody understand what the pay to stay ordinance does? I'm seeing nods, so there's no necessity to go through that. This is a discussion.
This is going to change things in terms of the business of owning and renting property in Akron, and that is not a bad thing. This is a kind and appropriate change to tenant rights. It is my experience, and I've done a great deal of fair housing law enforcement work, both as the former deputy chief of the civil rights section of the Ohio Attorney General's office, but also in my private practice, and also as a HUD subcontractor. frequently being 15 minutes or 2 hours late on making a rent payment is used as the rationale for the removal of often a family, often other protected class status overlays as well. It's if you'll excuse the expression, the oldest trick in the book. Rules are disparately applied as between similarly situated tenants within the same complex, and the beat goes on. This is a good law. This is about caring about the most fundamental of our civil rights, which is the right to have a home.
Thank you. If there's not further discussion, are we ready for a vote? I guess the process is if there's no further discussion, we call for the vote, right? And I don't hear any further discussion. All right, all in favor of the motion to endorse the pay to stay ordinance, please say aye.
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 All opposed? I hear none. That motion passes unanimously. And so I think that we can put that in the same letter, and that would make sense.
I can do that.
Okay.
I'll share that with you tomorrow.
We have standing items 4 and 5 that are about sort of community education and community involvement. If there are there projects underway that any commissioner would like to report on in that regard? And I see, it looks like Ellen has joined us. We just voted to endorse the pay to stay ordinance and to put it all in a letter to council before next week's meeting.
Great. Just the pay to stay, or are you guys doing anything on the, or did you, I know you previously testified on the source of income.
We had previously voted on
that one.
to
Okay.
endorse that one. So we don't need to do that again with an amendment, right? I wouldn't think.
No, you've already given me direction on preparing a letter on both items, pay to stay and source of income. So I will be circulating that tomorrow, Ellen, for their approval.
Great. Thanks.
All right. Is there a working group on a video PSA that has met or worked?
Did you want me to take the lead on that one, Nancy? It's not a video PSA, but it is a PowerPoint presentation.
I guess
think we
that's
got
what
the
threw
title
me
wrong.
off. I've got the low tech video PSA
I'll
report.
change the title for next meeting.
Okay. So I want to thank the predecessors who bravely put together material to educate the public. That was, I think, probably building a plane while flying it. What I've done at the request / direction of others involved in this organization is to sort of take a lawyer's crack at the content of the PowerPoint. And let me back up a tick if you're wondering what the heck we're talking about, video, PowerPoint. So what this would be is the presentation that you could take with you if the Junior League wanted an informational presentation about what the Akron Civil Rights Commission is, or if the JCs wanted to know about it, or if, I don't know, the Great Lakes Boy Scout Council wanted to hear about the Akron Civil Rights Commission, et cetera, et cetera. Or perhaps, smaller, closer to your heart organizations that you're involved in. So the goal here was to just pull it all together in kind of a streamlined fashion, to try and keep this to the gold standard of these kinds of things. 10 slides, 20-point font, no more than 30 minutes in length. So lawyerly approach that again demonstrates our neutral function, that really leans heavily on the language of the legislative history, as it were, and the content of the statute itself as amended. So what I did was to circulate the draft to our little working group, which consisted of Dr. Rice, myself, John, and Yamini. And we're going to just tidy it up a little bit. Then if you're interested, we can circulate, or you can just trust me, at your discretion.
I just have to add that I do trust you, Nancy, because she did a fabulous, she put together really the very relevant and very factually how this group was originated, and let people understand how this came to be, and what the role and function is of the commission. I thought it was very well done, and I think everyone will be able to follow that and present similarly. And I think the very important point that Nancy brings up, which I know I've beaten the drum a few times, is the importance of the neutrality in how we go out and do outreach and represent. The commission represents itself. You're going to get folks, of course, in all different sides, in both sides. So you need to maintain that. And I think this really does it very well. So we can share that once. There were some other things I think you wanted to do with that, Nancy. And then share that.
Thank you so much, Yamini. And that's it.
I think if the working group, does the work that it wants to do, and then we circulate it to the whole commission, would be the next step. I thought the content was also really clear. I'd like to put, we got our logo design donated. I'd like to get our logo onto our slides.
That's
So-
officially over my skill level, but perhaps somebody has like a 15 or 16-year-old who can, zhuzh our slides up a little bit. What do you say?
I'm not
But
16, but I could do that for you.
There you go.
What about the status on the, when you were saying PSA, but I thought you were also talking about the photos. They were going to upgrade the images on the website. Now that Ellen's here, I think we can make sure that we can get that done so that the right pictures are there, the commissioners are represented properly on the website. Because didn't they send the pictures, the latest pictures?
I've got several commissioners' pictures. I think I have 3.
Headshots.
I think I have Brant, Esther's, and Sheldon.
Okay. Okay, well, maybe we can circle back and talk to communications and find out how we can upgrade that and get everyone's upgraded pictures in there, if we can't get a group picture.
Yeah, we can definitely do that in the interim. No problem.
So is the idea here to get a headshot from everybody? I mean, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
since we
That's
probably
what I
can-
thought. They were going to send a headshot, like a professional headshot.
And I thought I had. I'm so sorry. I'll resend.
Okay.
And I will send to John. I knew I needed to, but I had an injury last month and threw me off.
Did I send mine, John?
Yes, I do have yours.
Thanks.
All right. Were there any public comments?
No, there were not.
We have reached the end of our agenda. Anything else for the good of the order? Items anyone wants to bring up?
We don't have to, of course, discuss it now. It hasn't, we can prepare in the, after Monday's meeting to see if this change is done in the, you know, in the ordinance here for your group and the impact of that, you know, it will change things and how that would work, you know, how, because the ordinance originally focuses on, as far as remedies on employment type issues mostly. So housing, as Nancy will probably, thank God for her expertise in this area too. I think it's going to be great help. You know, but that'll change things, I think, a little. So
I have a question.
Mhm.
This is Commissioner Maddox. Who will be transcribing, or will we transcribe the minutes or the record of this meeting, even though it's electronic?
I was not thinking that it would be a transcription, right? That there would be minutes taken from the recording, as and that in the absence of any other arrangement, that we would ask our secretary to do that.
Okay. Oh, okay. I just wondered.
Yeah, and you know, unless she objects, and then
All right. Thank you.
we'll deal with that. Yeah.
I'm wondering if I can lift up Commissioner Rice's question from the chat, because I know we spoke earlier about choosing to send a letter over being present and speaking, in that might lead us to need to build out the endorsement a little more than we want to. But should we be physically present without voice, just to be that our presence might be noted on Monday? I'm thinking that's a good idea. I thought his question.
I actually think we should, if we really support this.
I think that's a good idea. And I'm not sure what John can tell us, I'm sure, what the procedure is for being permitted to at least appear on the call.
Are you talking about participating, being asked to speak, or just being there watching as a member of the public?
I was thinking just being there and they're actually being informed that we are present in support. We don't have to actually say anything, but sometimes I just think that sends a powerful message when we're just there. We're actually present.
I think we just have to let them know that, you know, who wants to be present. Ellen, is that correct? And they would be able to allow them to.
Apologize for my crew here, but you need the permission of the chair. So the housing chair, say hello.
Hello.
Okay. The housing committee is chaired by Councilman Fusco, and you would just need to send him an email letting him know you'd like to attend. But typically people do not come to these committee meetings unless they do plan to participate. You would probably be called on and asked to share thoughts if you were in attendance. Members of the general public can watch on YouTube, but the members of the committee don't see you then, right? You're just watching the live stream. So if you're actually in the meeting, you guys should be prepared to participate and speak, if that makes sense. And that would be something you'd need the prior permission of the chair to do.
But participation could be as simple as stating your name and that you are a commissioner serving on the Akron Civil Rights Commission, there to indicate your support of the legislation.
Certainly, but again, there have been questions from the committee in the past about remedies and what that looks like. So they may feel that they would want to ask you those sorts of questions as well. So obviously, up to the commissioners how you would answer them, but just I would be aware that they may have questions for you guys if you did decide to show up.
Good to know.
So you're talking about the committee meeting and not the council meeting, right?
You can, that's even at the council meeting. I mean, there's that,
Okay.
Ellen is pointing out that there's that possibility that if you are present there and they may actually just say, well, hey, a commissioner is here, Could you explain, because there is talk around certain aspects of it that some of the members are, raising issues about the remedy section, for example, and then they may start probing questions to you. So that's the one thing to keep in mind when you are present. And that's at regular council.
And we
Well-
don't know yet what that would look like, right?
We don't, what
I'm
do you
sorry.
mean?
The remedy question.
Well, that you do have the remedy section currently that you can explain what it is, but
So it
Oh,
would be the same.
you just don't know. I mean, they may start asking deeper questions, and it's kind of difficult because you have not done it. So, but this is something in their mind that they want to try to get some definitive response on, and
But
so
it's not-
those are things to consider.
But in theory, it's not different from our current process.
It's not different than our current process.
Yeah.
That's not, I think we could handle that.
I mean, we have never gone all the way through and actually imposed a remedy. So if they're asking, what kind of remedies have you imposed? The answer is none.
Well, we can speak to what the ordinance allows, though.
Yes.
Well, okay,
Absolutely.
but I think Ellen's point was that the questions could be about anything, including
Mhm.
the somewhat abstract, obtuse idea of remedy. So,
Yeah.
That's not good.
and point taken, she's absolutely right about this. I do think, though, that we should have some presence there.
Mhm.
Maybe the thing to do would be to select from our group a couple
Yeah.
of people, right? Maybe
Yeah.
all 7 of us aren't there, but maybe 3 are. And the 3 that attend are committed to really preparing.
I cannot say that I'm going to be there. I don't think.
What time is the committee meeting that we're speaking about?
This is the council meeting. Is at
Oh, the
7
council.
o'clock. Yeah, 7 o'clock, Monday
7 p.m.
evening.
Monday.
Okay.
I could do it. I don't
I
know.
could be there, especially
it.
if we could prepare together.
I can do it. If that's 3, is that too many? Brant, you going? Dr. Rice? Or,
I am not sure if I'll be able to make it. I'm going to be on the tail end of I might be on the tail end of a camping trip.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
I would be willing. I just want to make sure that I'm prepared. I can answer questions.
So who is interested? Is it Nancy, Esther, Nanette, and Dr. Rice? Okay.
Mhm.
So we would have to notify Jeff Fusco, John. Well, we can do that. We can
Well, they're
talk
talking
about-
about the council meeting, so wouldn't that be the president?
Yeah, and Margot. But he's the chair of the housing,
Right.
right?
Yes.
The committee meets like at 3 or something.
We have to see the agenda. Yeah, it meets in the afternoon, the committee meeting.
Will they be discussing this there? Or has this already gone through committee and not?
It's possible. I mean, it's possible they will.
My sense is it not better to be at the committee meeting and then the follow-up council meeting?
Yeah, why don't we get you the info as to all the times, and I just don't know off the top of my head. I'll have to look and see.
Yeah, I don't.
And we can check and find that information for you, let you know how the whole thing is set up for Monday.
I would suggest that Nancy, if you would go ahead and circulate that PowerPoint, even before you tweak it and polish it up, because I just think it's a nice, clear, reminder for the commissioners, right, about exactly what the background is.
Happy to do it.
All right.
Might I
I see.
suggest, that the 4 of us make a time to meet online sometime to go over that PowerPoint, Nancy, ahead of Monday's meeting? whether or not we're-
You are a quorum. So, John, that's a public meeting, yes?
Yes. Yeah, you can't do that.
Okay. Might
And
I
three-
suggest that Nancy arrange to meet with 2 of us and 2 others of us?
No. No, you're not allowed to do that.
You can't do that either?
No.
The
What
serial
you can
meeting,
do
right?
is study the PowerPoint and talk about your presentation.
So
but
could we
not
email-
reviewing, not reviewing the PowerPoint.
Could we email one another to,
No,
no?
not the 4 of you. That's why it's probably a good idea to have 3 of you.
I can back out. I
Yeah,
can
why,
back
we can
down.
lessen the number of people who
I
go
can
to the
back down
council.
because I think Esther's a lawyer. And Nancy, I respect. I'm the new kid on the block, so I can defer. I'll join the general session. I'll be present for that session. For the open.
You mean on the YouTube? Just watch it on the
Yes.
YouTube? Yeah, okay. That anyone can do.
Yeah,
But, okay, so if you're 3 of you, then that should be okay. That's not a quorum, right?
Correct. That's fine.
then that's
But you're not going to be presenting the PowerPoint.
exactly.
That's a separate matter. This is
Yeah.
about, I'm just saying, I mean, this is about the source of income issue, so.
Mhm.
Nanette, I'll be in touch offline.
Thanks.
And we will get you all the info about Monday. Tomorrow.
Fabulous. I think we can entertain a motion to adjourn.
Before we adjourn, may I just remind fellow commissioners and any viewers to be sure to vote today. The only issue on the ballot, I believe, is the Akron Summit County Public Library. So there is just a reminder, if you all would please remember to vote for the renewal of that levy. It's no new money.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Holland.
Second,
There's-
Rice.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you all.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay, how do we get off this?
Good night.